It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange. Such a little thing.
How many times you watched that thing? Guess you really miss her. Don't worry, we're almost there. You'll be able to look her up once we're on board. Sounds like you do have a lot of catching up to do.
Alright, everyone, we're here. Sinking our orbit now.
All this trouble over that chunk of rock.
Entering zero gravity.
I just lost all of Hammond's vitals. Is he dead? Oh, God. It's just us now, Isaac.
And Damon here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, and we are flashing back to the Xbox 360, a more modern game as we are looking at the 2008 survival horror video game Dead Space, developed by EA Redwood Shores and published by EA for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows. We played it on the Xbox 360. That was that. It was obviously the debut entry in the Dead Space series. The game is set on a mining spaceship overrun by deadly monsters called necromorphs, which were released following the discovery of an artifact called the Marker. The player controls the engineer Isaac Clarke as he navigates the spaceship and fights the necromorphs while struggling with growing psychosis. Gameplay has Isaac exploring different areas through its chapter-based narrative, solving environmental puzzles and finding ammunition and equipment to survive. As always, things we like, things we don't like, favorites, moments, scenes, and bits of music. Get us started.
Yeah, there's so many things I can say positive about this game.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, the first one is the fact that it really is a survival horror game.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those games where, I mean, there's many horror games like Resident Evil I can play, and it just doesn't make me jump. But this game here, when you're in a room by yourself, pitch black, and you can hear and literally the noises, the sounds, yeah, it makes it proper on edge.
I agree. I have something very similar. To me, at the time, it felt like a return back to the days of survival horror. At this point, I checked the dates as well. So that Silent Hill was dead. Homecoming was released this same year, Silent Hill Homecoming, and it wasn't a good game and not that very Silent Hilly. And Resident Evil 4 had been released a few years earlier. So it was obviously the pendulum swinging in a different direction for Resident Evil series as well. So Dead Space felt like, oh my God, we actually have a survival horror game again. So I 100% agree, yeah.
The variety in guns.
Yep.
You know, there's so many different options now. Obviously, flamethrower, the Ripper, bloody cutting guns, bloody blow grenade guns. And literally, yeah, there's so much different variety on the weapons and items to use.
Saying that though, did you predominantly stick with a plasma gun?
Oh yeah,
Plasma cutter.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, the fact you said flamethrower, I was like, I never used a fucking flamethrower. That thing was terrible.
I think I only used it on like whenever I came up against the little bloody little creatures.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I think I also used the line launcher quite a bit. That one was quite one, and the what was effectively the machine gun, because that was like quite fast. Yeah, I mean, I tied it into gameplay overall, from gunplay to puzzle solving to action sequences. Dead Space nailed them all. Like there was never really hard puzzles or like stuff that made you go, I don't know what to do, but it was puzzles to solve. Gunplay, as you already said, was excellent. And when you were kind of in a big action sequence involving lots of necromorphs, it always felt tense and dangerous and like you could die, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like the added bonus of like the stasis weapon, being able to freeze things.
Yep.
Being able to pull like big bombs towards you and throw them at people, you know. But the freezing one I always found pretty cool.
Yeah, stasis. You were right.
Yeah, stasis. Obviously, so when you use stasis, obviously, when you shot the creatures, they look. You can watch them. They fall backwards, they fall apart, and it's proper in slow motion too.
Yeah, and you could then perfectly aim to take off the limbs as and when. Yeah. Isaac Clarke. It was very, very cool. He was a bit of a badass, you know, didn't speak much in the game, had a no-nonsense kick-ass approach, working his way through the game. You know, it's almost Doom guy levels, if not the fact that Isaac Clarke didn't have as much personality back then. I do think he improved in the later sequels as we got to know him better. But yeah, like at the time, he was just like, particularly the outfit as well. The whole thing just looked fucking cool, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I can go on for ages with this, but I mean, my last one would be, I think graphically, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, the design of the ship was brilliant. Even like the points where you went outside and you could see that outside and you had to jump on the asteroid or the planet.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, graphically, it was just beautiful.
I agree. I've got a few more, so I'll do more quickly then. You already said it, the design of the ship and the level setup, the idea of the levels where we go back to the hub and then it's the next level and so on. I think this game nailed the aspect of, it made it feel like you were actually in space, which is very, very cool. Obviously as well, the necromorph designs. Bear in mind, this is the first Dead Space. The design of the necromorphs, the limbs, the screaming, the running, the ripped up faces, including other variations of like the little baby ones with the tentacles or the fat guys. All of this stuff was excellent. And last but not least, this is the start of a franchise I have a lot of love for. I know people kind of critique Dead Space 3 as being more to action, all that, but I love all the Dead Space games. I love them all.
Yeah, so
Things we don't like then. Okay, what you got?
And this was very difficult. I mean, I had to bloody literally dig deep and be very, very, very bitchy with this.
Yeah, that's fine.
If like I said, not like I said, I feel bad saying this, but not enough variety in the bad guys and the enemies.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting.
I mean, maybe maybe 4 or 5 of the basic ones, not the bosses, the basic.
Necromorphs, yeah.
Yeah, but again, I'm only saying.
Don't sound convinced.
No, I'm only saying because this year I'm trying to think of what's bad about this game, and
okay,
not a lot.
Well, let me throw out one. I'll throw out 2 that I've got and see if you agree. Then, yeah. I think the last couple of levels begin to drag. In particular, the final level, where all you have to do is basically move the marker room to room, open bridges, fight enemies. Do the same thing again. Move along, and you do this across 5 or 6 big rooms. And by the end of it, and I played this quite recently, last Halloween, in fact, Halloween 2020, and I got to that part and I was like, this has got to be the last room. Like, what the hell, guys? And I was like, fucking hell, this is dragging. I really noticed it. And the final boss is way too easy, like disappointingly easy. It's cool, but you're a bit like, oh, okay, all right, well, there's this big glowing spots, destroy, and it's like, oh, that's it. I thought it was too easy for the game.
Yeah, I suppose actually. I mean, I have just thought of actually one thing actually which I didn't like about the game.
Go on.
And that was certain parts in the zero gravity. You know, I mean, they were fun running through. It was pretty cool, pretty nice graphics. But there's points where you had to jump from one wall to another wall just to get to a door.
Yep.
And that was so frustrating. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's another one of mine. The no gravity sections, while quite unique and interesting, they're very disorientating and very confusing. I didn't love them, put it that way. And I have one more. The end of the game. It's all weirdly enough weighted towards the end of the game. So at the end of the game, Isaac obviously escapes the Ishimura, and he's on spoilers. He's on his craft and all that. He sits back in the chair to relax, and at the corner eye, he sees Nicole and all that, and we get a really dumb final jump scare of her like rah at the screen, and I was like, "Fuck off, man!" I thought that was awful. I really did. Favorite moments, scenes, bits of music. What have you got here? Do you have anything?
It's hard because I mean the entire game was brilliant, so it's hard to pinpoint one specific thing. And music-wise, there wasn't really any music. Really, it was more like this noises from the ship and suspense and sound, wasn't it? Really.
Well, I suppose that's something there, isn't it? The noises and the creaks and the groans.
I mean, I suppose if I could choose one specific favorite moment, it's just the fact that it makes you on edge.
Yep.
So that's it.
That's pretty good. You're right. It's a tension-filled game. You never feel like you're able to relax. Okay. One part always sticks to me. So it's very early on in the game, and it's kind of when you see the effect of the marker on the people who haven't been killed or the people who haven't died yet. And I always remember finding the woman covered in blood, banging her head against the wall. And you can't interact with them, you can't do anything to them. And it was always like, oh, that's really depressingly horrible. The first time you see the marker, this big fucking event, this big important thing, and the very first time you see it, it is a bit like, oh, this is the cause of all his problems. Very fucking cool. And as a person who loves space and stuff like that, the segment where you have to untether the asteroid, and it involves you going on said asteroid out into space on the asteroid, that's fucking cool.
Oh, what where you place the mark? You place the beacon, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to avoid the big spinning
things. But yeah, the idea of being on an asteroid and being like, oh my god, I'm walking out into space. This is fucking crazy. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. There's a flashback to Dead Space. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?